Our next unit, and we're going to get this finished up before Christmas break. Pretty short unit. It's on angles. All right, so we're going to start off just going over some of the stuff with angles, get some notes on it and all that, and we'll add more in the next few days. So, start with your notes. You got this sheet, or you got this at the top of your sheet. We have two lines, line X and Y, with line T going through them. So in this picture, and in a lot of the problems we're going to do with angles, X and Y are parallel lines. What's it mean when lines are parallel? They never touch. They don't cross. Even if you keep going forever in any direction, they won't cross, okay? So we got to have these two parallel lines. Line T is what is called a transversal. Basically, a transversal is going to be the line that intersects our two parallel lines, okay? And you can see I've got angles A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. When we have two parallel lines with a transversal, those lines crossing are making 8 different angles. And what we're going to need to be able to do is find the measure of every one of those angles. So we start with, we got some different types of angles we got to worry about. Corresponding angles. And this is that big chart toward the bottom of your sheet, okay? We're doing it in pieces just so it can fit on the board better. Corresponding angles are angles in the same relative position, angles in matching corners. All right, so if we go back to line XY with the transversal, A and E would be corresponding angles. B and F would be corresponding angles. I didn't list all of them. There are other ones as well, like C and G, D and H, okay? So what the corresponding angles are saying is they match. So if I've got A is top left, E is top left. Y'all see how they match? That's what it's saying. That's a corresponding angle. They're in the same positions on each spot. What they are congruent. What's congruent mean? They're the same. So if I got angle A and angle E, whatever number is angle A, angle E is going to be the same measure, okay? Everybody follow on that? So if you have corresponding angles, they're the same, they match. Vertical angles. Pairs of opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. Now, that maybe sounds a little confusing, but basically what we end up with when we have our parallel lines and transversals, we got pretty much like two X's, right? So opposite angles means if I have angle A, we got B was here, D, angles A and D are vertical angles. They're across from each other on the X. That makes sense? So we got A and D, F and G. We could also say B and C, and E and H. Like I said, I didn't list all the angles each time that match these. And they are also congruent. They're the same. Linear pairs are angles that are formed by intersecting lines that add up to 180. And even more so, a linear pair, like they're the ones that are next to each other. So I got A and B, F and H. They can go either up and down, they can go side to side. Like A and B here, are a linear pair, so is B and D. It's the two angles that are next to each other on the X, okay? And what they do is they are supplementary angles. Y'all worked with angle sum last year. Y'all worked with angle sum in elementary school. Supplementary angles, something you had last year, they're two angles that add up to 180. You have complementary angles. Complementary add up to 90. Supplementary are the ones that add up to 180. So for what we're working with, we are either going to be working with congruent angles, which are the same, or supplementary, which add up to 180. So we're going to use 180 a lot. Okay? All right, so moving on. Unfortunately, like I said, there's a lot to this table, right? Alternate interior angles are angles inside the parallel lines that are on opposite sides of the transversal. So if we look at our picture, that's C and F and D and E. So if we go back, D and E are on opposite sides of the transversal, but they're on the inside of the two parallel lines. That's what you're looking for alternate interior angles. They are congruent. They are the same. So really, like all 8 of those angles, I really only would have 2 measurements. So they're either the same or they're going to add up to 180. Alternate exterior angles, then, are angles outside the parallel lines, and we're still looking for on opposite sides of the transversal. So on our picture there, that's A and H or B and G. Just like with the interior ones, they are also congruent. So then we got same side interior angles. Guess where they are? Inside or outside? Inside. They're interior, right? And what that means is they are on the same side of the transversal. All right, so same side interior angles. They're the ones on the same side. They are supplementary. Same side exterior angles on the outside and on the same side of the transversal. Those are also supplementary. So if they alternate, they're the same. If they're on the same sides, they end up as supplementary. All right, so all y'all got those? Need a second still? All right. All right, so this is a lot of stuff. It's actually going to end up easier than this makes it look, okay? So flip that sheet over. Here's what I've got. I've got my parallel lines, I've got a transversal. It tells me the measure of one of the angles. I can use that measure and I can fill in all 7 of the remaining angles just by having one number, okay? So what that means, one of the ways we can look at this is you can remember all those different types of angles and get the measurements that way. You can also look, if I've got these 2 angles, I got this one right here in green, right? And this one here with the red. Y'all, which of those is bigger? The red. So the big angle is going to be one number, the little angle is going to be another number. And that's going to keep matching throughout the whole thing. So look, if this is 75, every little angle on here has to be 75 degrees. All right, so look, this is a little one, right? That makes that 75. Little one, that's 75. Little one, 75. Everybody follow on that? And look, what that's doing is that's using like our vertical angles as well. They're across from each other, so they're the same. Or our like our corresponding angles. If that's 75, that's 75, right? You can do any of the different ones. Alternate interior makes these 2 the same. Alternate exterior makes those 2 the same. Or you can just look at which one's the bigger angle, which one's the smaller angle. Sometimes it's harder to tell, like if they're close to 90, because then it's like straight up and down, but a lot of times you can tell. So if this one's 75, can anybody tell me what that one's going to be? Anybody raise their hand and tell me? If I've got the little angle is 75, can anybody tell me what the big angle would be? 105. 2 angles that are next to each other have to add up to 180. So that's going to make that 105 right there. Y'all, the easy way to get that is you take 180, you subtract the other angle, okay? But any 2 angles next to each other add up to 180. Those add up to 180. Those add up to 180, right? So if they're next to each other, you can always do that. So going here then, every big angle has to be 105. All right, and you can see, like I said, I took one angle and I was able to fill in all 7 of the missing angles. Everybody follow on that? See what I mean? This ain't that bad, right? We'll get stuff where we got to do it a little tougher than this, but for right now, this ain't that bad. All right, so this is saying the measure of angle 2 is 55. Y'all find the measure of angle 3 and angle 7. Once you got them, raise your hand. Not worried about the explain how we know. I'll go over that. Just find the measure of each of those. 3 and 7. Anybody got angle 3? 55. In this case, 3 and 2 are across from each other. That means they are vertical angles. So if they're vertical angles across the X from each other like that, that means they're the same. Who can give me the measure of angle 7? 55. So you can look at this two ways. Once we have number 3, 3 and 7 are corresponding angles, which means they're the same. Or you can look 2, 3, 6, and 7 are all the smaller angles, which means they all have to be the same. So we didn't have to find angle 6, but angle 6 would be 55. Everybody follow? All right, so this time the parallel lines are going vertically instead of horizontally. It doesn't really change how it works. It just kind of changes how it looks a little bit. Angle 5 is 102 degrees. Who can tell me the measure of angle 4? Yeah, we got 102 for angle 4. So that's with the 4. I don't know. That's with the 4. My bad. All right, how about angle 1? 102 also. Once we have angle 4, vertical angles, the ones that are across the X from each other, they are the same. Or it's corresponding with number 5 on the X here. It's the top left means they're the same. Okay? Any questions on this? All right, so let's look through this real quick. There at the bottom on the back. Angle 2 and angle 8, are those corresponding angles? No. Corresponding angles are the ones that match, that are in the same location on each X. So 2 and 6 would be corresponding, or 8 and 4. That make sense? So like we got bottom left. That's how they would have to be. Yeah, same position on each one. 3 and 5 says they are congruent. Are 3 and 5 the same measure? No, this would be an example where it's a little harder to tell which one's the big angle and which one's the small angle, but those are same side interior angles, okay? 1 and 8, are they alternate interior angles? Y'all, 1 and 8, are they on the inside? No, they're outside the parallel lines, so that means they are alternate exterior angles. 5 and 8, vertical angles. In this case, those are true. Vertical angles are the angles that are across from each other on the diagonal. 1 and 7 are supplementary angles. That is true. They add up to 180. They're not the same. Okay?